Mark, thank you for joining us on Talking Tech this month. How are you today?
Very well, thanks, John. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you're coming from Calero. Tell us a little bit about your background. What brought you there?
Yeah, so my background is actually on the network side of the house. I managed a channel team for a fiber company out of the Northeast for 9 years. Actually had a stint kind of in your seat for a year prior to joining Calero, where I like to use the word pretended to be a trusted advisor before realizing that I did belong on the other side of that wall, right? So rather than get back into the network side of the house, the software side of the house was certainly something I never did before. So really looked forward to that challenge and was able to hit the ground running with Calero 3 years ago.
Perfect. And what's your role with Calero today?
So channel director for the East. So I cover everything from Maine all the way down to Florida on the coast of the States.
Nice. Well, we use Calero as kind of our enterprise telecom expense management or technology expense management platform. Give me, maybe 2 minutes or less. Give me a company overview.
Sure. So Calero is a technology expense management software platform, right? That's what we are, what we do very well, and that's covering anything from mid-market end user customers all the way up to large enterprise, right? And we manage mobility, telecom, and SaaS. Those are the three pillars that we cover within the platform. And so all under one hood, single pane of glass.
Expense management is a real hot topic right now, especially with the economy in the state that it is. SaaS technology expenses are becoming more complex.
Mm.
So it's got to be a good space to be in right now.
For sure. I think holistically, everyone's looking to save money if they can, right?
Mhm.
And by utilizing our platform, giving them the visibility to actually control that space a little bit better, and then ultimately see savings and optimization as a result of it.
So Mark, I mean, we see some differences with your platform versus some of the other vendors that we have in portfolio. And I mean, we've got a TEM Lite that we use, that we have homegrown as well.
Sure.
In your words, what are your four key differentiators in the marketplace?
Yeah, for sure. So I think the innovation in of itself, John, is a big differentiator out of the gate. We're firm believers in the fact that if you see a Calero demo versus any of our competitors, we stick out for the right reasons in terms of that innovation. And we continue to grow it, right? We're not resting on our laurels there at all. We continue to invest in it to make it better than it is today. So that piece, I think the business unit methodology that we work on the support side of the house. So each customer that comes in the door is assigned to a business unit, and that business unit stays with that customer from implementation to after go live. So there's no reintroduction of faces. It's all the same people that they've worked with during the implementation phase, which is big. We are global in terms of support as well. And then I think the biggest differentiator between us and any other TEM provider in the space is that it's all Calero badged employees on that support side of the house. I don't know that anybody else can say that, so that's a big differentiator.
That is a big differentiator, and the business unit piece we've seen in action as well. That can be really valuable to a customer. When you're talking about your international presence, you guys can manage different currencies then as well within the platform?
That's correct. We've got, I think it's over 75 different currencies within the platform today that we operate in.
Any common limitations there that maybe a customer needs to be aware of?
No, not really. I think it comes down to really bill pay is where we got to pay attention to that, right?
Okay.
Bill pay is essentially free in the States, right? But it certainly depends on exchange rates, et cetera, as we go into that global play.
Well, let's dig in on that bill pay piece a little bit, because that's also a little bit of a differentiator. Most of the providers
Yeah,
do that, but not
yeah.
everyone. So
hmm
what does bill pay mean to Calero?
So honestly, we actually prefer it, right? It's an easy way for us to guarantee that there's not going to be any late fees to the customer, okay?
Hmm.
Which seems to be a pretty big issue for most enterprises.
Sure.
So we stand up an account for them. We tell them when to put funds into it so that we can pay those invoices accordingly and pay them on time. And then obviously, as part of our SLA, we guarantee the fact that they're not going to get any late fees. And if there are, then obviously that's on us and not them.
Right. So let's talk through that process a little bit. So I'm a customer. I'm interested in using Calero to manage my expenses.
hmm
Um, do the invoices still come to me and then I upload them into your platform? Do they go to you directly? What does that look like? And then how do I know when I need to put funds into that account so you guys can pay those bills for me?
Yeah, so those invoices are going to come to us and the customer, right? So what we need is to stand up an account separate for them to actually fund, right? And we're going to tell
Sure.
them by XYZ date that we need funding in there, what funding we need in there as well, so that we can pay those invoices accordingly.
And then again, do I upload those invoices or you guys have API
We're already
connections or how does it work?
correct. We're already connected with the providers accordingly, so we're bringing in those. It's usually via EDI that we're bringing in those invoices into the platform.
Okay, fantastic. Always
Yeah,
nice when we do it digitally. Um,
yes, for sure.
so one of the areas that I know is a pain point for a lot of our customers is SaaS management,
Mm,
right? So, traditional telecom expense management that's been around for a long time, SaaS is becoming a more growing need. Talk to me
mhm.
about your SaaS practice or that pillar.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think SaaS for us is a differentiator in and of itself, John, to be honest with you. That I'd say is the newer part of our platform. We started that 4 years ago. And out of pain points for our existing customer base, to be quite honest with you. But you think coming out of the pandemic, folks that added on XYZ licenses for XYZ applications. And they're just simply paying those invoices month in, month out. They're not actually looking at them to see who's left the organization or maybe on Office 365, who we're paying an E3 license for that can maybe be an F3 license instead, right? So it ingests all of that information from application and license level
Mhm.
and makes recommendations to the customer themselves saying, hey, listen, this person hasn't used the application in 30 plus days. Do you want to revoke it or put it back in the spare pool? So we give them that power in a very ease of use way to save money accordingly.
Are you only supporting certain SaaS applications or any SaaS application the customer may have?
Any SaaS application, I think right now we do have a line in the sand between what is SaaS and what is cloud, right? So I think most SaaS applications that we've got today, we've got via API. And then it's really been opportunity driven up to this point. If we've been given applications that we don't have today, we could also bring in a flat file to get that information in, right? Until we get an API connection up and running.
Great, great. The other area of pain that a lot of customers have in expense management is wireless, so
Hmm,
mobility.
yeah.
What does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, so mobility, we've got two flavors of, John, right? So we've got uh, mobility expense management, which is similar to telecom. So it's all your invoices, inventory contracts, right? So similar to that telecom play. And then we've got managed mobility services as well, right? And that is where we can actually utilize our platform as a procurement vehicle, if you will, for the customer. They could go in there, we tie into their existing wireless provider. They could go in, order a device, um, ship the device to the end user employee, and we can manage that device for its entire life cycle.
Nice. Are you
Yeah.
going as far as looking at the plans themselves and suggesting other plans that might be a benefit to them on the wireless side? Or is it
Mm-hmm.
just really this is a device and a user that's not, or a license that's not being used?
Yeah, by utilizing the platform, we're going to supply those zero use device reporting, right, and analytics for them to be able to see what devices are not on unlimited plans that should be on unlimited plans. So yes, we use the platform to do all of that for the end user customer.
Very nice. And then what about utilities? You guys can include utilities or it like a partial offering,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, great question, John. Yeah, so utility expense management's been a big topic of conversation as well. So where we're at right now is that we can ingest all that utility information into the platform. We could even do bill pay on it as well. The only piece that we don't have for the utility side of the house right now is that optimization piece.
Nice. So when we're talking utility expenses that you guys can manage for them, we're talking about gas, electric, trash, water,
Yeah, all of those
anything else
things.
that I'm missing there?
No, those are the hot ones. Those are the
Okay,
hot ones. Yeah,
perfect.
energy as well. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, buzzword time. Everyone wants to know what you're doing with AI or wants to know what everyone is doing with AI. So how are
Sure.
you guys incorporating AI into your platform?
So right now it's kind of acting as a first line of defense on the support side of the house, right? If they're going in, they need help. So that's where we've got it right now.
Okay.
And then obviously I think we'll go deeper and wider with it as long as we're comfortable with where it is currently, making sure that it's working the way we need it to work. I think that our strong suit at Calero has really been that support and being people that are supporting it, right?
Mhm.
Um, so I think making sure that we can still deliver that white glove service that folks come to us for, and making sure it's still there on the AI front as well.
Yeah, I've seen some other companies go a little too far in that direction,
Yeah,
and you lose that personal experience.
you lose that personal experience, you lose that the pulse on that relationship as well. So we're trying to integrate the AI portion of it, right? But while again not losing any focus on our customers.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
Um, one of the things that we love about your product is you guys kind of put your money where your mouth is, right? So you guys have a savings guarantee that we've been able to work into some contracts. Can you
sure.
can you expand on that a little bit? Tell us what that is.
Yeah, for sure. So I think technology expense management is interesting. I think it's for some it's scary, to be perfectly honest with you, right? They're not quite sure how to get their arms around it, and then they don't trust the fact that by spending money on this product, it's going to save me X, Y, Z over here, right? So we
Mhm.
try to take the risk out of that by giving or offering up savings guarantees, right? So essentially, what we do is we kind of plug in some key metrics, it being average late fees, how many vendors you're working with today, how many invoices are you getting in a month, what your spend levels look like, ingesting that all in and coming up with a savings guarantee and saying, hey, listen, by utilizing our platform, I'm going to guarantee you that you're not going to pay any more than what you're paying currently, right? We try to make it kind of a net zero, risk-free area for them to be able to spend their money on. And then savings guarantees, depending on that level of governance internally too, right? If they don't have a 10 provider today, as an example, we are guaranteeing that savings will actually be more than just taking that risk out of it, right? More than that net zero and beyond. And then ultimately, if we don't stick to that, well, that's coming out of our own pockets and going back to the customer.
Makes it sort of a win-win, right?
Yeah, agreed. And it is. It's for some customers, this is a big leap. So we like to try to take that risk out of the game, and make sure they're aware that, hey, listen, we're standing up here for you, and our platform is gonna save you money, and this is how.
At, at, at what size or number of users or volume of spend does Calero expense management make sense per customer?
Great question, John. So across each piece of the platform, the answer is a little bit different. So if we're talking about SaaS management, right, we're really looking at an enterprise that's got 400 employees and above. That's typically the sweet spot.
Mhm.
Um, and that's typically where the wheels fall off for any enterprise in that scenario. We're managing those SaaS applications today. As we get into mobility, we talk about devices, right? So mobility devices, and we say anywhere from 400 devices and above is the sweet spot there.
Okay.
And then as we crossed over into the wireline telecom side of the house, it's really spend levels that we look at there. So really anybody that's got 750,000 and above in annual spend is an ideal fit in that telecom bucket.
Okay, so around 60, 70,000 a month is around where you're talking about in terms of the telecom spend.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Well, we definitely have a lot of customers that work in that space. So yeah, make a couple introductions coming up here, I think.
Sure.
Um, all right. Well, tell me about what is on the future roadmap for you guys.
I think from a roadmap perspective, you're going to see a couple things. I think one, you're going to see a little bit more of a deeper dive into the AI side of the house first and foremost, right? And then I also think the other big thing that you're going to see coming out is probably as soon as Q1 is centered around cloud management, right? So cloud management, anytime we bring up SaaS management in a conversation, cloud is typically the next question, right? Can we do
Of
that?
course.
And so it's similar to utilities today, right? So cloud management, we can ingest the information, you can run analytics and reports on it, but there's no optimization today. But I,
Sure.
I do think you'll see that very quickly in 2025 here, that we'll have cloud expense management as well.
Yeah, it's another hot button with customers that we're talking to them about. So I'm glad to hear that
Sure.
you guys are incorporating that. Mark, anything else you feel like we didn't touch on today that you know customers would really benefit from knowing about you or Calero?
Yeah, I think that the fact that we just simply it's a conversation, right? There's no need to be afraid of it, right? So I think we try to make it as simple as possible, keep it as conversational as possible in terms of showing a customer the platform. Does it make sense for them or not? What are your pain points today? Are you is it inventory? Is it invoices? Is it management of contracts or mismanagement of contracts maybe, right? And then giving them the visibility into all that, right? So again, I think our platform, once we demo it, speaks for itself.
Mhm.
But again, we're here as consultants for the customer to see if it makes sense or not, right? At the end of the day.
Consultative approach is always the way we want to go. So completely aligns with our philosophy.
Yeah, yeah.
What is the one thing that, or let me rephrase that. What is the one pain that you hear from a customer that when you hear this one thing, you know you guys are going to be a good fit?
Anybody that's got multiple sites and is really struggling with their inventory at each of those sites that's a no-brainer, right? It's
Great.
it's um, that's a really especially for multi-site customers for sure. Especially
Perfect.
as they're spinning up new sites, closing down other sites. There's a mismanagement that takes place there typically. So
Yeah, it's a lot of work that we do for customers as well is when they're in that rapid
yeah,
growth mode or that rapid contraction mode. There's always a lot of moving parts and pieces.
for sure, for sure. And I think there's a soft savings to be said there too after the fact, right? So it's from a resource perspective, how much time they'll actually save by just utilizing our platform versus going through countless spreadsheets.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Mark, this has been great. Really appreciate you taking the time to join us today on TruPoint Stalking Tech. Thank you
Likewise,
again for
John.
your time.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it, and look forward to this coming out. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And for those listening in, thank you for joining us for TruPoint Talking Tech with Mark from Calero. If you like the information that you heard today, and we hope that you found value in it, please like or subscribe or share. And look forward to seeing you next month.